Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of Bum with a Wrench. I'm your host Daniel, and I wanted to explain a little bit about this channel, being that this is the very first episode. I'm probably calling it the pilot or something. I don't know what I'm going to call this, but um, this is basically just an explanation on the channel, who I am, what I do, why you should be interested, if at all. Um, I work on a lot of classic cars. A good friend of mine a few years back called me up, said, "Hey, do you want to come run this shop? I want to put together a car collection, all these cars and stuff, and I need someone to tend after them, look after them, build me a shop, that kind of stuff." So I said, "Sure, yeah, no problem." So this is the result of that conversation. I work on a lot of cool stuff. There's quite a few cars in here. Pretty much all of them are under construction in some way or another. Um, but I work in here alone. I do all this by myself every day. And so it gets kind of boring, a little lonely. So I thought maybe if I'm talking to a camera, I won't feel so crazy if I'm actually talking to a camera instead of talking to myself all the time. But yeah, I figured I would kind of share with the world what I do on a day-to-day basis, see if anybody's interested. Um, I think it's a lot of fun. I really love this job. There's not very many jobs I've had where I absolutely enjoyed going to work every single day, but this is definitely one of those jobs. Um, I pre-recorded the rest of this video that you're going to see. Um, Please, bear with me a little bit because when I first started this, I had some, hokey equipment. Since then, I've actually made quite a few videos in preparation for this. I'm, learning how to do film editing and, all the aspects that come along with this. And so I wanted to have a bunch of videos already kind of lined up. So I've already done that. I've been doing this now for probably about a month. By the time you see this, it'll probably be longer. But I wanted to kind of straighten out all of my lack of knowledge. Basically, I've never done anything like this before. I don't know how to do film editing or vlogging or film myself. So you're gonna have to bear with me a little bit in the beginning. The next part of this video that we'll go to is actually the very first video that I ever actually recorded. And it's the microphone I was using at that time was really, really cheap. It was a Toys R Us mic. And so it gets a little bit pitchy, a little high pitched, the mic was not good. So, and I realized that after the first couple days of recording, adjusted a few things, ordered a few parts, and then now things are a little bit better. My editing skills still aren't too great, so bear with me a little bit as the channel grows, but the main focus, of course, is going to be the cars and the work and the fun stuff that's in here. So without further ado, let's cut to that video and just realize that the sound will get better over time. So I appreciate you guys and hope to see you back here. All right, this first car is the current vehicle that's being worked on. I'm going to just kind of gloss over everything real fast because when I actually do the videos on the cars, I'll explain a little bit more about what I'm doing. But right now it's more of an introduction to what's in the shop and the cars that I have in the shop and everything else. So this behind me is a 1966 Ford Galaxie 507 liter. So in 1966, Ford made the Galaxie, and they made a special model of the Galaxie in only 1966, and they called it 7 liter. It came with two different engines, 428 being the most common, and then there was a few 427s made. Very, very rare car. So this would be considered a Q code card, and then if you had a 427, it was an R code. If you got an R code Galaxie out there, please let me know. I'd love to come see it, photograph it, and get you on the channel. I doubt anybody with an R code is ever going to see this video, but because there are so very few, there's a handful of them, and it would be awesome to see one. But this car is cool nonetheless. In this car, they made roughly about 8,000 in this configuration, being the hard top, automatic, blah, blah. Again, I'll go into more detail on the car when I make the videos on it. but at last count, there was roughly about 3,000, we'll say, of these cars left out there. So this is one of 3,000. We'll call it. The numbers are rough, but still, nonetheless, this is a fun car. It's pretty rare. You don't see a lot of them out there. Fords aren't something they make a lot of parts on, so a lot of people bypass these as far as wanting to do any kind of uh, restoration work to them and that kind of stuff. And obviously, there are following on these that people do restorations, but these are a lot harder to do than your mid 60s Chevys and that kind of stuff. Make a lot less parts for them, and I'll go into more detail on that when we on this car when we do the episode about this car. So right now, just a quick overview. I'm doing Sniper fuel injection on this. I'm fixing the air conditioning. I'm repairing a captured nut down there on the rocker panel, so the fender will stay tight. And I'm repairing a little bit of air conditioning. But other than that, this car is pretty complete. Very, very beautiful. Love this car. Um, this is not the original color this car came in. In fact, this car does have some modifications to it that the owner does like. You'll see here, this is the original color for the car. But as you can see, it's got aluminum heads, aluminum intake, a serpentine belt kit. One of the things I did like about this car, we did buy it in that configuration, but one of the things I do like about this car is that the modifications that were made were not intrusive to the car itself. You could always go backwards. If you wanted to make this an error correct car, you totally could. There's nothing cut or hacked or messed up with this car to where I couldn't put it back to exactly the way it came off the factory. And I like doing things that way because what one guy likes and another guy may not like. And so just keeping the car out there and having it available for that option is something that I always try and strive for. Over here we got a 90 Mustang GT. This is a Fox body. Um, Everybody loves a good Fox body. This car's super clean. Pulled this out of a garage. It sat for, we'll call it 10 years. It might have been a little less than that. This car isn't going to stay on the channel very long. A friend and I, a buddy of mine, and I purchased this car just to do a quick flip on it. But the auto industry right now is not doing very good, so it might be around for a little while. But so far, I've done tires, cleaned it up a bit, fixed the TV cable because it is a automatic car. But you can see the seats in this car are in perfect condition. The interior is beautiful. It is a 98,000 mile car, but in great, great condition. It does have a Vortex supercharger on it, but you got to remember 90s horsepower when these cars were fast is not so fast anymore. Over here, this is another one of mine. This is a 1965 Ford Galaxie 500. Not a 7-liter because they didn't make the 7-liter in 1965. However, they did offer the 428 as an engine option. This car I pulled out of a garage here locally. It's a one-owner car. The family bought it in 1966, and it stayed in the family its entire time until I got it just recently. I actually built this car for the Duct Tape Drags 2023. It didn't end up making it. If you did go to the Duct Tape Drags, you'll notice this car was not there. I hammered for months to try and get this car done. At least 3 months solid, coming in every single weekend, putting in every hour possible to get this car going. It's got a 352 big block FE in it that I completely rebuilt. Everything in that is brand new. The motor runs fantastic. However, I didn't have a lot of time to spend on the rest of the car. Even though the brakes are new, the fuel system's new, I went through the rear end except for the pinion seal, and it's leaking. On the transmission, I didn't have any time to go through that. All I did was put a torque converter seal, because once I met it up to the motor, the rest of the seals would be easy to get after if I needed to. And of course, the tail shaft is leaking horribly, and it needs a bushing on the tail shaft as well. So a lot of this car I mean, I could take it out and drive it now, and it would get along just fine. It does leak profusely from the tail shaft of the transmission, but all the power steering was new on this car. I I did all new power steering pump lines, gearbox. So basically, the whole drivetrain of this car is all completely brand new. Um, However, the power steering let go. So 2 days before duct tape drags, I took it out to run it down to my buddy's house, about an hour away, to do an initial shakedown on it and see how it was going to act before we stuck it out on the highway to try and go to Arizona with it. And it just fell apart. Power steering let go. The brakes are absolutely horrible on this car. One of my favorite channels to watch is Vice Grip Garage. He always jokes about brakes being the last thing, and you know they could be, but these are horrible. Even though I completely rebuilt everything down there at the wheels, the master cylinder and the booster are absolutely shot. So this thing is dangerous to drive because of the lack of brakes that it actually has. So, and being that this is a project car for me and not just something that I'm throwing together to throw out into, the back lot, I decided to go ahead and pull it. But you will see this car duct tape drags 2024 if you go. Most likely will not have that engine or this drivetrain or really anything about it. My plan to go with this car is to go with a small block board and stroke 427 with twin turbos. So I'm going big brake, and then I'm going to do a overdrive trans. It's got a 8 3/4 in it now, but I'm going to put a 9-inch in it. The interior on this car, this is exactly the way I got it from uh, the old lady, and you can see the dashboard's pretty hammered, and the interior is pretty hammered. I did do the upgrade on the seats right here because they were just splitting open. Like I said, I had plans to take it to Arizona, and so I, just quickly kind of fixed stuff up. I was going to throw a horse blanket or something over top of it, but I didn't even clean it up because I thought it'd be cool for the duct tape drags to just have it to be kind of the way it was. You'll notice that one fender on the other side. I did clean that up, um, but the car was in a slight accident. I couldn't get any information out of the previous owner as to what exactly happened, but being that it was the bumper here was pushed in, and the fender here was pushed in a bit. Now the fender needs to be replaced, the bumper needs to be replaced, the skirt right there needs to be replaced. The inner fender well as well, but the frame is in great shape. Everything else is in great shape. Um, but I couldn't really figure out. She wouldn't say exactly what had happened, but right here on the door there was two push marks, and you can kind of see right here where the marks are. And to me, that's perfect spacing for a police car bumper. Um, Speculation. I'm thinking that maybe someone stole the car, um, sideswiped something with it, and the police rammed it to stop it. Because I'm pretty sure I've got a bent axle in the back because when I was going down the freeway, this thing's kind of wiggling and doing some craziness, and all the wheels are new, all the brakes are new, everything's new in the back. So um, I'm thinking I got a bent axle in the back, so I need to put it up and do a run out on the axle to see what's going on. But this thing has 2.5-inch exhaust front to back that I just had done. It's got Flowmasters, and then it's got glass packs here in the back to just kind of tone it down. So that way, when you're on the freeway, this thing's not making your ears bleed. But very fun car to drive. I enjoy taking it out. Um, I got to do a lot of work on this still. That's why it's kind of here at the back of the shop because I need to do a few things to it before I really take it back out again. But next to it is a factory V8 Jeep Wrangler. This is obviously back in the collection. These are the only two that are mine. So this car picked up for the owner, the factory V8 392 Jeep. We've done a lift kit to it. This thing has a slew of parts in it. Very fun. I've got to do a couple things to finish it up. I got to do a gear set, got to do lockers, and got to do 37s, and then this one will be pretty much done. The newer cars, we're not going to really do too much with these. I will video when we do the 37s and the lockers and the gears and all that kind of stuff. But that's pretty much it for this one. This car over here is the owner's wife's car. Awesome factory V8 again. Um, this is naturally aspirated. It's a Lexus LC500. A little bit dirty because we took it out, ran the canyons with it. This one, and another one over there. I'll show you. We all took them out and had a good time with them. So I need to get that over and get it cleaned. But factory V8, very fun car. Makes cool noises. It does have a slush box automatic in it though, which is kind of the drawback to that car. But this is a Fiat 124 Spider. Awesome car. So much fun. I know a lot of you out there, oh, you know, this and that. 4-cylinder turbocharged. But I'll tell you what, it's more fun to take a slow car out and beat on it than it is a fast car. Because when you get into a McLaren or something and you really get into it and you're doing, you know, warp speed in a McLaren, it's a lot harder to control when things go bad than a slow car is to control. And plus, it's so much more fun. Put this thing out in the corners, and it really loves corners, as well as this one does over here. So that 124 we paired with this S2000. This is a fun car. I've always loved the S2000. This is actually a 2004, and it has 6,000 original miles on it. When we got it, it was in stock configuration. The interior on it's absolutely gorgeous. Um, I did put coilovers on it. I did Willwood brakes in the front. It's got carbon synchros in it, a stage 2 clutch. Maybe someday it'll get a turbo and exhaust. I'm waiting for new wheels to come in for it, because the Willwood brakes don't fit on the rear because of the wheels. Even though I love these wheels, I really didn't want to change them because those are some of the best looking Honda wheels in my opinion. But I do have some wheels that I've ordered out of Japan. They're going to take about a year to get, and they're going to fit the Willwood brakes, and they're awesome. It's really going to make it to where I can't take that car out and park it into a parking lot because I'll come back out and all the wheels will be gone. But this car is really fun. It doesn't go out very often. Like I said, it went out with the other two when we went and ran the canyons with it. I know it's kind of dark, but the interior in this car is absolutely gorgeous. It's a real time capsule. Takes you back. I had one of these brand new in 2005, and we actually paid more money for this car than I did my brand new one. So there's a R1 back there in the corner. This one is the next one you're going to see after that Galaxy on the Hoist. I really got to get to this car. This is a 1968 Chevy Camaro. Paid quite a bit of money for this car. And when it showed up, we test drove it before we bought it, and then bought it and had it shipped out to us. And when we got it, the engine was blown up. So I don't know if something happened between the time that we test drove it and it actually showing up. Well, obviously something did because the engine blew up. But the company that we bought it from, they were reputable. They said, well, you know, send it back to us and we'll, you know, rebuild the engine. But by then the owner was already, you know, like, look, I want fuel injection. Even though that ZZ430 right there on the floor is a great motor and it made tons of power and it was a lot of fun, which I stole the carburetor off to put it on this. But that ZZ430, I need to break that down, and I'm probably just going to put pistons in it because the thing was brand new. So, but we'll do an inspection on that, see what it needs, and probably end up just putting pistons in it and rings and putting it back together. But this car, he said, you know what, look, I want fuel injection. So we went to Texas Speed Performance and had a custom built LS3 built for it. It's backed by a Tremec 5-speed, which I'm totally expecting the Tremec to blow up once we get this thing up and going, because the power this makes exceeds the power that the Tremec can hold. So when that happens, that Tremec will come out and we'll put a 6-speed in it that'll hold the power. But this car, I need to do the wiring on it. I need to do the cooling system. I need to do the air conditioning system. I need to do the exhaust. It already has a custom front end in it, and subframe connectors on the lower side. And it's got a 4 9-inch in the back. But that 4 9-inch is going to come out because I also called up Art Morrison and I had them build me an independent rear suspension for it. That's what you see on that crate right above that Jeep, which is right in front of that Volkswagen. But there's an independent rear suspension that needs to go into the back of this car. Um, and that'll happen at a later time. Right now, I want to get it running. I want to get it driving. 68 was the first year for the center console, which this car didn't have when we got it. So I'm putting the center console into it. I've got some nice low back seats for it because the seats that were in it were totally not right and very uncomfortable. Um, I'm also doing Dakota digital gauges for the clusters, and then also down here in the center console, I also have Dakota digital, which I'll link in with the computer system for the LS3, so you'll be able to read certain things, oil pressure, that kind of stuff in the gauges. But this car is absolute gorgeous. It is this gray color with these kind of ghost stripes in it. And when we get working on this, you'll really see the car. Everybody sees it, absolutely loves it. The body work on this is phenomenal. I really don't like doing motor swaps on cars that are in this configuration because it's so hard. You gotta be careful. One of the things I want to really harp on this channel is how to build a car correctly from the ground up. So that's something that'll happen with probably this Galaxy. There's also another one right above the Camaro that I'm also going to use for that same teaching tool, if you will. But the wheels are going to change on this one. It's got these really horrible Boyd Coddington wheels. You got to put this special adapter on the wheel in order to put air in it, which is on the inside of the wheel. It is, what a horrible design. This is the grille and the lower rocker panel for the 7-liter as well as the fender. Up here is, like I was saying, one of the cars I'm going to use for a ground off restoration. This one I've already started on. It's a 1964 Chevy El Camino with a 396. One of the cars I always wanted. In high school, that was it, man. If I could have had one of those, I could have died and gone to heaven. Now I've got one. And so it's a really clean El Camino. When I get it down, you'll see it's in really good shape. It could totally just be a driver, throw it together, clean it, buff it, make it nice. But I'm going to make that one just as nice as this one. Those two are going to be pairs. They'll go to car shows and stuff together. This one, no, when we first got it, my intentions were to do a ground off restoration with it, but I was going to do it at a later time. We got the car. I took it out, did a burnout up the street with it, and it blew up the water pump. So I thought, okay, well, let me put a water pump in this thing. I go to do the water pump, and then I just find wiring that is so bad that I just kept taking the front end apart, trying to get to all of it and clean everything up the best I could. And honestly, it had the little house nuts, for wiring. It had speaker wire running stuff. It was a wreck. So, um, I don't want to burn the thing to the ground while taking it to a car show or something. So I really had to go through everything on it. And in the end, I've got the entire front end stripped down off of it, all the way to the firewall. The motor's in it, but again, the owner likes fuel injection, so that's got a multi-port fuel injection from Holley that's going on it. Not like the Sniper. The Sniper is a throttle body. This is multi-port on a custom built 396 oval port heads. I was going to change it to some Trick Flow rectangle port, but when I got in there and I looked at the head, somebody had really went in there and did some nice porting work and stuff too. I thought, you know what, this thing ran so good, let's just go ahead and keep it the oval port. So that's what it's got. I have Hotchkiss tubular A-arms for it. Somebody put some Flaming River rack and pinion on it, which is absolutely horrible. Really, there's nothing wrong with the gearbox setup that was in it, so it's going to get the gearbox back with all of the stock steering and stuff going back into it. I have Willwood drop spindles for it, all A-arms. big brakes, 6-pot calipers in the front, 4-pot in the rear. It's really going to be set up quite nice. And that one's going to be a fun one, but I got to get through that one first, get through this one, and then I'll pull that one down, all the while building this one. And then there's what you see up here. This is a 57 Chevy 210 wagon that I pulled out of a lady's driveway. We saw it sitting there for quite a while, talked to her. She didn't really want to sell the car. Her husband had put it together. He passed away. It had been sitting in the driveway for about 5 years. And then finally she realized, well, you know, this thing's just going to rot away unless I get rid of it. So we went ahead and picked it up. I thought it was going to be a quick cleanup. Again, found lots and lots and lots wrong with it. Most of it's in the frame because it was tubbed out and it was done in a garage atmosphere. It really needs a lot of attention in the frame. I do have the seats all redone for it. You'll see them up there. So those are all redone. The 57 Chrome is in between these two cars. That car will probably never deal with. This one over here next to the 57 is a 68 Volkswagen Bug. I really hated that car when it showed up. Then we did a turnkey motor in it, which I've done those before, and believe me, everything about that motor was in fact turnkey. It literally was bolted in, connect the fuel line, pour some oil in it, fire it up. Exhaust, headers, everything was there. Just put it in the car and fire it up, and that thing runs absolutely great. However, we ordered the motor in like a 1930 something configuration, so the motor makes quite a bit of power. The differential that's in it has got more oil on the outside of it than it does on the inside of it, so it's going to blow it up unless I do something. I need to get the differential out of it. I need to rebuild that, rebuild the axles, rebuild a lot of suspension, do wiring in that car. I need to pull the body off the pan. Got to do some sheet metal work on that one to fix that thing up and put it all back together. I've got new bumpers and stuff for it. So there's a lot to do in here, basically, is what I'm saying. I really enjoy this job. Everything that comes with it. It is a lot of work. And the owner has put a lot of trust in me. But I've worked with him for quite a few different companies and different scenarios. He knows my abilities. And really, in me making this channel, I had to sign off with him, of course. And he's like, you know, most definitely, you know, have fun. You know, build a channel. He's like, I'd love to see it. So, but you know, that's what I've got going on here. My purpose to building this channel is basically just to, you know, I work here by myself. Have somebody to talk to. You start talking to yourself so much, you start to feel like you're going crazy. So, you know, and then also, you know, I want to pass on some knowledge on how to work on some of this stuff, how I actually find parts for this car, how you know, how to resolve problems like fixing an air conditioning system from a 1965 with modern day parts on it. All that stuff, you know, it takes a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of know-how in doing, and especially seeing this car, how someone had actually restored it. You know, I mean, not everyone's perfect, but you know, if I can pass on some knowledge to someone else, maybe you know, inspire some younger generations and you know, make some laugh, give some laughs to some older generations. I don't. Thanks for watching. I hope this sparks some interest with some of you to follow the channel and follow along with me as I complete some of these projects and get some of this stuff done. Again, the audio and stuff on some of these videos is pretty rough, but and my editing skills are growing by the day. So bear with me as I get a little bit better at some of this stuff and do a little bit better and build the channel into, you know, what I have in my mind as far as what I want it to be. So I hope you enjoy you know, the show as it progresses, and hope to see you back here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.